Good morning, everyone. I, K. Deepthi, Assistant Professor, welcome you to today's topic on hypertension, a silent killer. After completion of this topic, learners will be able to explain the consequences of hypertension, ways to manage the hypertension, comprehend pathogenesis and mechanism of action, and drugs to avoid during hypertension. What is hypertension? Increased blood pressure is hypertension. It is the most common cardiovascular condition. Sustained systolic BP of greater than 140 mmHg or sustained diastolic BP of greater than 90 mmHg is hypertension. What is systolic and diastolic? Systolic BP indicates how much pressure your blood is exerting against your artery walls when your heart beats. And diastolic BP indicates how much pressure your blood is exerting against your artery walls when your heart is resting between the beats. Agent that reduces high BP is called antihypertensive agent. Persistent and sustained increased BP has damaging effect on heart, brain, kidney and eye. The different types of hypertension are primary or essential hypertension and secondary hypertension, wherein primary hypertension there are no specific cause in 95% of cases. In secondary hypertension, due to specific disease or drugs, there are 5% of cases are seen. What is blood pressure? It is a force exerted by the blood against the wall of blood vessels. How much narrower your arteries will be, that much higher your blood pressure will be. In the picture below, you can see the blood vessel, wherein you can see we're showing normal pre-hypertension and hypertension. It occurs in normal blood pressure. Your blood vessel is very much broader. The blood can easily pass through the blood vessel. In pre-hypertension, your blood vessel is slightly narrowing, through which your blood passage through the blood vessels is little bit difficult. And in case of hypertension, as a blood vessel has narrowed, your blood flow also will be difficult, by which the hypertension causes. Blood pressure categories. In normal condition, your systolic mmHg will be less than 120 and diastolic will be less than 80 mmHg. In elevated conditions, your systolic mmHg will be 120 to 129 and diastolic mm will be less than 180. High blood pressure, stage 1 hypertension, systolic mm will be 130 to 139 and diastolic will be 80 to 89. High blood pressure in stage 2 hypertension, systolic mmHg will be 140 or higher and diastolic mmHg will be 90 or higher. In hypertensive crisis, you have to consult your doctor immediately because it's a critical condition. In that case, systolic mmHg will be higher than 180 and or diastolic mm will be higher than 120. Coming to the causes of hypertension, hypertension is generally caused to excess stress which is causing inside your body due to excess smoking, due to overweight, eating fatty foods, alcohol consumption, genetical disorders, excessive intake of sodium. Symptoms are generally asymptomatic in case of high BP. Patients do not experience any direct symptoms here. It is called a silent killer because it quietly causes damage to the cardiovascular system. Outcomes of hypertension. It generally affects cardiovascular system and causes cardiovascular disorders like atherosclerosis, ischemic heart disease, congestive heart failure, and definitely it causes stroke also. It also affects your kidney and causes nephropathy and affects your eye also and causes blindness. So early detection and treatment is very much important in this case. Hypertension is nothing but increased BP, and if you give initially the treatment, then your blood pressure will be in normal condition. But when your sympathetic outflow will be increased and your renin secretion will be increased, in that cases what happens we'll see. When your sympathetic outflow will be increased, tachycardia causes, it means heartbeat will be very much faster. When your renin secretion will be increased, salt and water will be deposited inside your body. Retention takes place, wherein causes increased BP. In this condition, when sympathetic outflow is increased, if you give beta blockers, your tachycardia can be prevented. And in increased renin secretion, if you give diuretics and acetylcholinesterase inhibitors, you can prevent the retention of salt in water. Thereby, you can decrease your blood pressure. Now, let us think and reflect on the question: how better you can minimize your hypertension by understanding the management, pathophysiology and mechanisms of different antihypertensive drugs, and what are the safe and avoidable drugs used. Think it and write the answers in your book if you know. Pathogenesis of essential hypertension. It generally causes due to genetic influences or environmental factors. The combination of this leads to defects in renal sodium homeostasis, functional vasoconstriction, and defects in vascular smooth muscle growth. Due to defects in renal sodium homeostasis, the inadequate sodium excretion takes place, by which your sodium and water will be retented inside your body. Plasma and extracellular fluid volume increases, thereby it increases the cardiac output and leads to hypertension. In vasoconstriction also, your vascular reactivity increases, peripheral resistance increases, leads to hypertension. In smooth muscle growth, there are defects. When there are defects in smooth muscle growth, the integrity of blood vessel and regulation of contraction and relaxation will be altered, by which your vascular wall thickness will be increased, peripheral resistance increases, and it leads to hypertension. How can you manage your hypertension? You can manage your hypertension by eat healthy food, exercise regularly, lose weight, limit salt and caffeine intake, stop smoking, and reduce alcohol consumption. Classification of antihypertensive agents are 8 categories: AC inhibitors, angiotensin receptor blockers, calcium channel blockers, beta blockers, diuretics, direct vasodilators, alpha blockers, and central alpha 2 agonists. And the examples coming under this are written here. Coming to the mechanism of action of antihypertensive agents one by one. First one, AC inhibitors. When your arteries and veins are in relaxed position, your BP also will be in lower position only. And this AC inhibitors prevents the enzyme called as acetylcholinesterase in order to provide your angiotensin II. When this is prevented, your narrowing of blood vessels is also prevented, and it leads to vasodilation, which is dilatation of blood vessels, where blood flow through the blood vessels will be very easy. It also inhibits degradation of bradykinin, which is also a potent vasodilator. Coming to angiotensin receptor blockers, angiotensin is converting into angiotensin 1 with renin. Angiotensin 1 converts to angiotensin 2 with ACE. Angiotensin 2 should go and attach to the AT1 receptor, thereby it causes hypertension. But when this angiotensin 2 prevents attacking to the AT1 receptor, by adding angiotensin receptor blockers, your hypertension can be controlled. Coming to calcium channel blockers. Normally, calcium enters through L-type calcium channels, which leads to activation of myosin light chain kinase, and then further leads to phosphorylation of myosin. This phosphorylation of myosin causes contraction of vascular smooth muscle, thereby results in vasoconstriction. Beta blockers. Beta blockers, when we take orally, it enters the GIT. It prevents the adrenaline from attaching to the receptors on your heart cells. Heart rate will be normal. Flight or fight reactions do not occur. In that way, beta blockers show their action. Diuretics. Different types of diuretics like thiazides, loops, CA inhibitors, potassium-sparing diuretics, and osmotic diuretics show their mechanism. Thiazides inhibit sodium chloride cotransport. Loop diuretics inhibit sodium potassium chloride cotransport. Carbonic anhydrase inhibitors inhibits bicarbonate reabsorption. Potassium sparing diuretics inhibit sodium reabsorption and potassium secretion. Osmotic diuretics inhibit sodium and water reabsorption. Direct vasodilators, they act by releasing nitric oxide. This nitric oxide activates guanylate cyclase cyclic GMP, which further leads to vasodilatation of blood vessels. Alpha blockers were converted to phospholipase C, wherein they convert into inositol phosphate and diacetylglycerol levels are decreased, by which it leads to vasodilation. Afterload and preload will be decreased. Coming to central alpha-2 agonists, they bind to and activate alpha-2 adrenergic receptors which are located in the brain. When they bind to the alpha-2 adrenergic receptors, they reduce sympathetic outflow from vasomotor center, thereby vagal tone increases. Coming to the drugs which are avoided in pregnancy. Normally, in pregnancy, you should not take diuretics because it causes risk of placental wastage. And even AC inhibitors should be avoided because it causes a risk of fetal damage and even growth retardation takes place. Beta blockers also should be avoided because it generally affects the neonatal bradycardia and it also causes hypoglycemia. What are the safer drugs which can be used in pregnancy? Hydralazine, alpha-methyl-dopa, prazosin, clonidine and cardioselective beta blockers can be safely used in pregnancy. What are the drugs which should be avoided in specific conditions? Persons who are suffering from asthma, diabetes, peripheral vascular diseases, beta blockers should be avoided. Persons who are suffering from hyperlipidemia, thiazides and beta blockers should be avoided. Persons who are suffering from gout, thiazides should be avoided. And persons who are suffering from sexually acting males, diuretics and alpha-1 blockers should be avoided. Drugs used in hypertensive crisis, which is an emergency condition. In that case, intravenously, sodium nitroprusside, nitroglycerin and labetalol can be given. And in sublingual administration, captopril and nifedipine can be given. In that way, you can even control the hypertension in case of emergency conditions. Hope you understand this session. Thank you for patient listening.